Mm-hmm.
We are
Mm-hmm.
ready. Hi,
We are
Camilla.
ready.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome. I've looked very much forward to this speak you and I are going to have now about your purpose, your drive, and what you're supposed to bring on this earth. Could you please start telling a bit about yourself and who you are?
Mm. Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's no secret that we are Danish. So just to the little switch we just have from Danish to English, I'm all of a sudden I'm sensing, wow, something different. It feels like I'm speaking from another part of my brain. And mainly that's what being to notice that within the body is one of the things what I'm brought here to do, that is to create that I call it refined listening within the body. What's actually occurring while I'm here? What is that inner landscape that's dancing, and how am I soothing myself, and how is my voice massaging me while I'm here, rather than, all right, Camilla is interviewing me, and I better keep that asshole tight and be this perfect version of myself, yeah. And I'm daring also to speak that language as I'm really, I feel like now more than ever that we come naked, that we unzip to our souls, and if one of us, if just one of us dares and step in, now we have this dance communion right here, and stepping into that, my intention is to set an imprint in the world that those that come after can step into and feel safe. And I say this after, I think we're stepping into 34 years of teaching this year. And everybody always asks me, like, Camilla, who old are you? How old are you even? Who are you? Um, and yes, I began in Roskilde, hip hopping with the girls at age 14 in Roskilde Ungdomsskole. Uh, and and there was just this, if I and I'm just sitting thinking of that right now, if I retrospectively look backwards, there's that, if I can be an inspiration just by being me, then that's what makes my heart sing. That's my stake. And then yeah, then it began to come into aerobics, and then into a big life change of reducing my weight with, like, what was it, like 120 pounds, like 54 kilos in very short 11 months. uh, I dove into Chinese medicine to meet this new part of myself, and then I met this one modality called R.E.A.L, which is one of them, um, that which was a completely new way of moving. It was a right and left brain. It was a back body, front body. It was a place where I was okay to also go slow. Um, 6 years later, I met with another modality called soul motion, which was the perfect fit. It became my little, I wrote it as my secret love affair, because nobody kind of knew, because I was still the Nia teacher. Um, and then I was traveling, doing workshops around in the different communities, and then I became a soul motion teacher, running my own studio, being the alumni coordinator of this soul motion school, and traveling the world. And then my body just said, "That's it. You gotta stop down. You gotta slow down. You gotta kind of stop." Um, and then I chose, and I remember I said this actually to you, I think, Camilla, was, I'm gonna choose to go with the follow the path of effortlessness for 3 months. Take 3 months out of my life and follow the path of effortlessness to see where it leads me. And then I sat under a tree at the foot of a mountain in Northern California and sat there until the tree let me go. And that was a lot of hours, I can tell you that. And that was kind of like the beginning of finding my real own tempo. Nothing wrong with what I've done so far. There was just a relearning, unlearning, and a relearning, so that I could sense rather than being kind of like on that natural high of creation, but also sensing that's the way I want to go. Like being that juicy, turned on. Yeah, that's the way. And then COVID had hit while I was sitting there. And I chose to stay there, even though I received emails and texts and e-box messages, come home, otherwise you will never get back into Denmark again. And then I took a real deep decision of I'm sitting here at the foot of a mountain under a tree in nature 6 hours a day. I'm well taken care of. I'm held by the community I live in. I am exactly where I need to be. And I'm sharing this long story of who is Camilla, that refined listening, to dare to find that unapologetic, I know I'm here and I'm safe and I'm loved. And of course I'm gonna get out of this country, you know. Um, so I've kind of returned, come back to that stake of, I would call it decisiveness, and a deep innate somatic felt experience of I know. And apparently the world needed to go into pause and kind of like into a whole pivot in order to me to really hear it. Yeah. And I really stepped in, and I say that, and I might offend people, but COVID was my wake up call. And then I came home eventually after 4 flights and an elongation of my stay for a month, and I finally got home. And yes, when I landed in Amsterdam, I did notice that my nervous system was kind of like, not until then I kind of landed. And I remember I said, now I can at least walk home. You know, if I just start walking now, I will reach Denmark eventually. And then the whole thing began with the new life, the new world we lived in. And then I had the decision of not running a studio no longer. There was part of me that was really desiring to do it, and then there was the dry facts of, okay, second wave, if I don't get out of it now with half a month of lease, I'm bankrupt in April, you know. So looking at it in hindsight, there's that there was so much breaking apart, so much breakdown that became the breakthrough, that I needed to get down on those knees and find like what wants to move through me. And there was a huge rapture. I what it felt like for having had this hearth of belonging and this beautiful studio for so many people, and now it wasn't there no longer. And even in that, I found myself going into my old patterns of holding space for everybody else, and like, you know, and noticing that being like a little on overwork constantly. And that became that, back to the path of following effortlessness. It just became that constant wave current that I followed. And then I went into there was no studio, there was no soul motion school to run. I had no energy to create anything. So and I wrote about this the other day. So I waited, and I might need to repeat this for myself. So I decided to wait until the need for anything to be different had stopped.
Mhm.
I'm going to repeat that. I waited there until the need for anything else to be different, meaning going into fixing mode, had stopped. And that was just a revelation of noticing how many years had been in a, so a constant, it's actually Michael Beckwith. I can't take credit for this, but being in the stage two, the by my mind, the by my will consciousness, and then into the third stage, third level of consciousness, which is through me.
Mhm.
And believe me, love, I went into stages of feminine I have never been, like warm showers, widening for all the, both the comfortable, but for sure also the discomfort. And noticing how I was loving it more. So when the old doubt came up of, am I going to, here I am going into fixing mode, I want something to be different, can I just stay there and breathe and allow this beautiful freeway called my body to, and even now I'm kind of like going into that through my mind, through me consciousness, can I allow this beautiful freeway vessel of energy to just not get attached, but just letting it move through me? And then noticing how much more spaciousness that created in my body, especially in the tendons and the floor of my pelvis, which is especially for us women, how much tension there is um, in the floor, in the tendons, in the genitals. And then all my nerdy stuff from the Chinese medicine and nervous system all of a sudden became like, wait a minute, then kind of like, it felt like I was in such an uh, emotional feeling state and somatic experience. So the physicality of my body came in and like, wait a minute, that's my vagus nerve. Oh, of course, like I've been in fight and flight. I've been freaking running. Like if something happens, I'm gonna start running now and see you when I reach Oslo. And then, oh, I'm just relearning that I'm safe. Oh, and then became this, all of a sudden I could sense that my desired experience began to wake up, rather than, I know what I don't want, motherfucker. Like the buy my wine, the badassery of Camilla. But ooh, I desire to just experience unconditional love, limitless, limitless wisdom, infinite inspiration, effortlessness when putting up a post on Facebook. And when I then desired to have that experience, there came all the, yeah, but what if, da, 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 da. So I again stood there at the threshold, allowed it in. Oh, here you are, doubt, here you are, validation, here you are, yeah, and so forth. Again, waiting until nothing needs to be fixed, or anything needing to be different than it was. So I think this long talk about what Camilla is kind of swirling into why I then created what I call embodied permission, that we give permission to have everything that is swirling and stirring in us, to have permission. And then it becomes, for me, it became, rather than I gotta go do, social media, newsletter, putting out a website, text, blog post. Oh, I need to be a YouTuber now. All this,
Mm.
I want to play because I know when I'm playing, I'm already singing in playfulness. And then, you know, you sitting here listening, there's kind of like, ooh, yeah, it becomes this kind of a constant motion of life force energy. The floodgates are open. So and the tightness of getting stuff done a little less, and then I know I'm on purpose. What's my purpose? Worthiness. You matter, I matter. Not only are we needed, we are necessary as we're here in most one of the most amazing times on earth as we're moving into a new world. We had a like a world going on the pivot of a called, what did one say the other day, BC, which normally means before Christ, but she meant before COVID. So so here we are. So I created this new body of work that is both traveling the world and is going to be a facilitated training, and I work on it one-on-one with couples and conscious relating. So I call it conscious living, loving, and leading. So that's where it all landed back in to a hearth, a form.
Amazing. Well, I actually participated in your when it was called Mastering of Self. I know you have another name for it. Could you please tell me a little bit about that? What you call course or education? I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was so inspirational for me, and the getting of the masculine, I'll fix it, I'll do this, to like get really down and feel all the thing that I really needed to feel. You really helped me do that when I participate in your mastering of self. I know you call it R.E.A.L today. So tell me a bit about that.
I would love to, but I have one pause because I'm running out of battery. So give me 1 second. Or you pause the recording.
Of course.
Oh,
You
sorry, but
can't live without batteries. So amazing.
we love talking. So for the people hearing us, we had a little long talk before we actually pressed record. So we need the charger.
We need to catch up. And I actually start wondering, well, you actually reach out for me because we're from the same city, or you are from Roskilde and I live in Roskilde, but we actually got to know each other through social media because you reach out to me at one point. I think it was back in 18, 19, 20, 19. I don't
Yeah.
remember, but we actually got hold of each other at that point and been in each other's life ever since. So yeah. Did you plug on some juice?
I got some juice going in the computer as well.
Thank you. I know. So you need to
Yeah, I
tell me
still.
more about R.E.A.L, and you needed to tell me more about the dancing process, because that was one thing I really loved about your place, your soul motion in Copenhagen. You had the space there. So yes, start with the R.E.A.L.
Start with the real. Well, it kind of says itself when we get real.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
love it. I really love that that name for it. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's more or less. So basically, what I did was to create a program that I myself needed.
Yeah.
And that's what I step into in any encounter, in any program, when working one-on-one with you. I'm there, and I remember setting that, and when we're setting the tone together, I'm here as well. I will never put myself as the teacher. I want us to, this is a collab. This is me and you. So you are forming me and I'm informing you. I have all these beautiful skills and suitcase of tools to teach, but rather than stuff it down your throat, I want to see what is needed, you know, and I think that's where the dancing part begins, because it's a, oh, I add to the field as well, right?
Mhm.
And then the mastering of self, now called real, and the reason why it needed to change was that the mastering of self was created. There's many of the elements that is in the other, but it was created while I was at the peak of that badassery, that stage too. And I'm really going backwards here. There's nothing wrong with either of the stages, and we jump between them. It's not like, so now I'm at stage 4, by the way, which is through me, as me consciousness, which is when the masculine and the feminine is unified, where it's just become this as easy as an inhale and an exhale. I hang out there a lot. And then 2 days ago, here comes another layer of what I call love packages, or love in disguise, energy packages I get to unveil or unpack, of old, conditioned, habituated, limited beliefs, limiting beliefs I have about myself, that I then get to unwrap and clear and clean. They are in the way. So all that has been added to the mastering of self. So it's a returning to the core of who we are, and then we reconnect to our belonging on earth. Like I said it before, we take remembership
Mhm.
on earth, because literally that's why I do what I do. No matter where I traveled, there was a fear of not being good enough, full stop.
Mhm.
And that's our, you know, we've been dimming ourselves, or we've been taught, don't be so loud, or, you know, don't be to say your opinion, but not say it in that way, you know, like, yeah, let's see your light, but hey, don't get down out of that high horse.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's the law of Yende necessarily in Denmark. I think it's worldwide. So my whole thing coming back to that, if I can be an inspiration coming into, what if we found peace with being good enough just as we are, into what real is, that we all belong, and that all that is stirring, and all my insecurities, or heavy cloaks of the past, let's call it that come up in me, means that as we are co-creating this field, it's also part of you. And the more I like dare to love that, and let that include that, as much as when I'm this like super on top of things femme entrepreneur who just like always has her passport in her, yeah, can I let those not mean more than the other, yeah.
Mhm.
Then there's that true belonging, and then that's the stake I said before, worthiness, that which is then when we begin, what I added to mastering yourself, and what was added was that whole directionality of setting an intention, which is the masculine, and then the feminine of allowing it,
Mhm.
of the worthiness we feel of actually being available to receive it.
Mhm.
I wasn't that available for many years, because I was on to the next,
Mhm.
you know. So I think what has changed, and what's really in what you just shared, there was this, and then the lowering, and then in that lowering, to give ourselves time enough to celebrate. Oh my God, I just had an answered prayer of desired experience manifest. Then the way we can compound more of that is for sure to celebrate it. I'm just getting goosebumps, because my body is like, yeah, and sometimes you forget a little, yeah. So So real is literally, and this is non-genderless, by the way. Masculine and feminine is not about male born body, female born body, womb born bodies, or those that refer to neither. It is we're talking energy here. So it's a healing of the masculine within us that was taught and who are brought up in a world where goal orientated, you know, it we need to reach to a certain point to be good enough. I need to do in order to be loved. Yeah. If I have this beautiful studio in Copenhagen, do I belong in this world then? Yeah. That truth, to have that naked truth come up, that was real, man. You know, and it wasn't like something that I was proud of, but wow, what a revelation. And then the I also, it actually had a middle name, a in between name, where I was like, this is putting shine on shame. It's actually to allow the shame that we carry, that we might even don't know like shame, but it's just an autopilot. I call it a hidden driver. So here I am creating all that I desire, and the not enoughness just kept on being. So that was my constant hidden driver. So when that is my constant background music, of course I will create more of it. You know, a lot of money, they went away. A lot of success in the studio, full on flood. I had the studio flooded twice, remember, with yeah, a total rebuild. That was just like, so with all this awareness and clearing and cleaning, I can just, wow, look at how beautifully I freaking played this out. Yeah. And then again, to sit and celebrate it rather than what I would usually do, would hit myself. You know, you failed, you flunked.
Yeah. Or
Who are
move
you
on.
even?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the best is talking about real, where we return and then we reconnect with earth and then we reclaim our power. Nothing outside of us has the power over us. We create it. We can literally, our desired experiences are longing for us to enter them. So if I desire to feel to be free, I can step into freedom, clear and clean everything that's not making me free, step in and put it on like this beautiful silky coat and walk as it. It's in its unfolding for me to be in the havingness of it, but I'm already free. I'm already daring to be in it rather than maybe, you know, guess what this dance will bring you. Yeah. So yeah, real. It's kind of like the most badass, but I don't use that badass because that's the badassery. It's kind of the most um, naked truth, the most revealing course I've done, because it's really up to what intention, what do you desire to experience, and that will just unfold. So yeah, and then it always, as it's I remember I'm doing a facilitator training where people can get learning to give this work, my work, forward. And the lady that I was talking with it, and there it's going to be under their umbrella. And then she was like, "But embodied permission, do people get that?" So that's where it landed in the dance somatics. It's literally, when we dance, we get smarter. It's neuroplasticity over the brain. It is not limited to one step to the right, one step to the left. It's more of a, the playfulness, the lightness, just the mere fact of you when you're sitting and receiving me, there's just like this, yeah, and that's just the mobility, the fluidity, and the solidity that we are having a love affair under my skin. Oh my God, I'm falling in love with this moment, yeah. And then the soma, which is meaning the body, so it's the soma of dance, and that is I'm noticing as I say it, it's still, I wouldn't say I'm not owning it, but I have allowed it so much to be, rather than me, like I said before, putting it into your throat. I'm total constant in a container, in an availability for whatever you bring to the field is needed. And I think that's actually what makes it unique.
Exactly.
That it's
I totally agree. It's totally unique, and I love that it is one-on-one. That my energy, my state of both mind, or where I am in the process, is so much a thing that you actually sense and take into the steps, and this being a two-ness, a thing happening between us two, not something you need to teach me, but the two-ness of it. I don't know the word for being.
oh my God, I am so stealing two-ness. It's
I
on
love that
my
word. Two-ness.
I love it.
So so I know that we spoke before we pressed the record button, and that we need to do some more dancing in our lives, and it's the femininity of being south of the chin, actually. I talked
Yeah.
about it yesterday when I had a speak here in Roskilde, that we really need to get down there and just sense and feel, because one of the participants was asking, but how do I get from my masculinity, my brain, my thoughts, down to my stomach and to my body? And I told her, well, get dancing, get your feet on the floor and get dancing. And don't think that you need to like look really smart and do like the real step and now look like just like go blow. And I love that part. So that is one of the tools that is free, actually. It's right there. We can do the dance whenever we want to, in the morning, right before we go to bed, in the bed. I really love that part. That is one way to get from the masculine state of mind, doingness, let's have some action on it, to like, let's really feel it and get down and feel it in my arm, and that's part of being feminine, that we need to get to that stage.
And even being a receiver of what you just said, just the mere fact of you, rather than you telling me get dancing, maybe you should go down into your body. No, you're in it. You're already in there, and that's, I think, is the most important. You're already in there, and that's back to what I said before. You're in the experience of being the dancer, being danced, while giving the advice. If you would come from mind, you would be telling her what to do, and it would fit her perfectly, because she's just being fed where she comes from.
Exactly.
And I wanna also address that, and I know we're many probably seeing this, that also runs a business, and that is, I think that's one of the parts where we're so coming from, we're being conditioned, and then we can take a course in both how to make the perfect this, and packaging and pricing and in front of us, that it's so easy for me. Okay, let's give it an example. You need to talk into people's pain to sell them something.
Mm.
Everything stands on me on that.
Yeah, everything.
I want to lean in and like, so would you like to just have more relaxation around your waist so that it just feels more light next time you're going to write a blog post? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would like that. Mm.
Right. But I couldn't tell you if I wasn't sitting in the experience of it while I was doing it, meaning that, ooh, I'm even getting like turned on to write a blog post, and I even wasn't in the mood to write a blog post. Why? Because it feels good around my waist. Great. Then that inner compass needle, effortlessness,
Mm.
pleasure. And then I don't give a shit how the dancing looks. Yeah. Because that itself is a dance that is even non-visible for the outer eye. But I am having it. I am, let's call it, having a love affair with me. And then believe me, if I just write released, real, reconnected in a Facebook post, come to my online class. Believe me, loves, that's much more than I should also address their pain before.
Mm.
And I again, I say nothing is wrong with this. I just know that, Camilla. And I got so curious about the soft one, the one that's constantly in open curiosity of like, I feel inspired to follow this path over here, this current. And for some people that is super obvious. For me it wasn't. Because we're as self-employed, also as women, I guess, men, there's so much inspiration, there's so much, like, there's so much out there that we could go. So can I slow myself down enough, lowering my organs, whatever is sitting in my pelvic bowl, to actually hear where to next? Really? Uh, and that's what I've been having, those like, whoa, I had no idea I had to let that name go, or that studio go, or that apartment go. Yeah. And that's back to that sitting in the US, finding that I know, being
100%.
in the full knowingness. I some call it trust. I go beyond trust. This is knowing
Mhm.
that whatever is emerging as I desire to experience, let's say, limitless, unconditional love. And as soon as I say that, there's might come small little like, who are you to dream that big? Or yeah, they might still come up,
Mhm.
but I'm not merging with them. Why? Because there's that constant dance of the and. So I have just practiced this so much so that I know that when that dance is going on, there's the unification of the masculine and the feminine. Because nothing wrong from coming from our mind.
Mhm.
I just want to have my juicy, turned on, aroused, pleasurable, playful, uh, childish at times, to let's say, like, carry the full wagon of me forward. Yeah. Does that answer the question that I forgot, which was?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I love that you are calling it a love affair with myself, because actually we are the most happiest when we talk to people and like make some kind of statistic. When are people the most, when do they feel the most happiness in their life? It's when they are having a love affair. So I love that you're calling it have a love affair with yourself, myself,
Mhm.
because the most important person in our life is ourselves. And we need to have that love affair to bring it to the state of being in unconditionally love, which is something that all people dream about. Ever since they've been a little
Right.
baby, they dream
Right.
about being loved unconditionally.
Mhm.
So, so inspirational. Thank you so
Oh,
much, Camilla. It is always a huge pleasure, and I love to talk to you because I sense it, I feel it, and I just got I just got remembered that this Zoom, even though that we're not in the same room, I sense it. So this actually being online and doing this talk and the session
mm-hmm.
is really working.
Yeah.
Zoom as well, and that's kind of like I knew it, but it's kind of like it really works. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
really does.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, and let's do it again, and let's move. Let's
Yes,
let's do something in here where we move a little,
yes,
because
yes.
I want to say one more thing of when, like, how do I get from here to there? Um, you just go dancing, and
Exactly.
but I bet just goes dancing. It sounds great on paper. How do I do that? You know,
Yes.
and I see this a lot, like which music, which, and when do I do it? Like all these different questions, and it kind of like repelled me. I wrote it might have been a blog post, but at least I wrote it in a newsletter of years back when the teacher told me just let go, just relax and let go. And it sounded amazing, but literally my whole body was just like, yeah, great, but how?
Mm.
I had not learned the skill, or didn't have the skill set, or the kind of like the threads to reach it. Um, so I just want to end to that lady dancing. Brushing your teeth is the dance. Sipping water is a dance. Cleaning the toilet, if you choose to do it, if you consciously choose joy, believe me, that whole movement of the spine is a dance. Yeah.
Mm.
And then we can put our favorite music on and go, wow, that's dancing too. But I really want to also take the conditioning of what dancing is, and allow that masculine and feminine. Yes, you said that, but I think it's both that. You called it the two-ness, but it's the two-ness between me and me. It's the two-ness between me and the Michael Jackson. That's one of my favorites. Stevie Wonder coming on and like do 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 do. It's me and the bass, It's me and this cushion that it's kind of like bouncy every time I talk, and I can sit and be super present here, and I'm also being in the experience of that. So rather than I need to get out of my head. No, you need to stay in your head and then have an and like the opposition, or the dance partner of your head. Is that maybe what's I'm just gonna ask this. How big was your feet gonna be if they were as active as your head? And let's begin there.
Mm.
It might be Mike Tyson's, sorry, not Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan's shoe size, like 16 or something. Yeah. Oh no.
15 days. It's huge.
Mm.
Thank you so much. So
Thank
inspirational.
you.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much
love.
for your time, and we'll be back.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank you.
having me. Yeah.
So welcome.
Hmm.